Hey guys, this is Samuel to Geek, and today I want to talk about a video I saw and about Fallout. As you guys know, Fallout was purchased by Microsoft. That's some pretty huge news. I'm still kind of digesting and looking into that. Maybe I'll make a video about it later. I don't know. But Bethesda was purchased by Microsoft, and it got me back into the Fallout mood. I streamed Fallout. I don't know if you all saw that. And then I've been looking up tons of videos on YouTube about Fallout. And one really caught my mind. It was called The Politics of Fallout by this guy named Kay and Skittles. Kay and Skittles is a communist YouTuber. And I'm not saying that to be a pejorative. If he's not communist, he definitely leans heavily left. He definitely is anti-capitalist. The video, you could tell right away he uses the term neoliberal, and when describing the term neoliberal, he puts up a picture of Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan. So he comes from the left-wing ideology perspective that anything to the right of a perspective of socialism and communism is something that is neoliberal. And the neoliberal perspective, it's this ideological thought that liberalism was kind of made off the wrong path and spawned this new ideology. So it's a term that a lot of people on the far left use to try to lump in hundreds of different ideologies together because they don't think any ideology is as complex and as intellectual and as thought out as theirs is. So that's the perspective he was coming from. And ironically, he thought that Fallout is an anti-capitalist game. I mean, there are elements that definitely critique consumerism. There's definitely elements that critique American culture and right-wing American culture. But to say that it's anti-capitalist is weird. If anything, I would say Fallout is a very, very centrist game. It's anti-extremism. Fallout has always tried to paint the idea of judging things in black and white is terrible. And by judging things in black and white, you are not seeing the multiple different effects, the knock-on effects that judging from that political perspective can have. I mean, every single Fallout game has kind of pointed this out. Fallout 1, for instance, there's a quest where this horrible, awful businessman is like just being terrible to the town. I can't remember the names. I apologize. But everyone convinces you that this guy is terrible and that you need to kill him and get rid of him. And when you do, you think that you did the right thing. But ultimately, you find out that that was a worse outcome for the area. For as awful and horrible as this man was, he provided a much safer environment for the town than disposing of him, provided. I mean, right there, it's like it pokes a giant hole into his anti-capitalist narrative. I mean, if anything, that's a pro-capitalist argument that no matter how bad capitalism may seem, the alternative may be even worse. I don't know if he's actually played the Fallout games a significant amount, or if he played any of the ones besides Fallout 3 and 4. I think I only saw really Fallout 3 and 4 in his videos. And both Fallout 3 and 4 are probably the least ideological parts of, they're the least ideological games in the main series. So, I don't know. But like Fallout New Vegas is super heavy on the extremism is bad narrative. Like it describes every single faction that you can embrace as kind of awful, and each of them has their downsides. And ultimately, if you look at it from a factual perspective, the NCR, the most America-like, neoliberal like faction, is painted as the least bad option. That is basically what the game tells you. Yeah, it's corrupt. Yeah, it has this huge unmanageable government. Yeah, it's taxes and imposes a lot of stuff on people that they don't like. It's imperialistic, but the alternative is slavery. It's anarchy in a way that isn't really conductive to the people. It's this weird, libertarian autocrat imposing his own will through machines. That those are the alternatives. And given the options available, that the best option would be to, embrace this, liberal capitalistic alternative that the NCR provides. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased. Obviously I'm a conservative. A lot of people know that about my politics. I'm definitely center right in my political ideology. So maybe Fallout is more of a Rorschach test than anything else. I mean, even how they describe the Great War. I know that he found out in his video that Vault-Tec may have launched the first weapon. But, I mean, the entire war was that basically the extremes of the two ideologies of the Cold War caused the end of the war, end of the world. That ultimately the communists and the diehard capitalists could not, come together with everything on the line and with all the resources eaten up to, come to some sort of agreement. Like, that was kind of the messaging that I got. And that was the extremism basically ended the world. And extremism is also applied to Vault-Tec. They were so extreme into the passions of their own project that they just felt like that they could do anything. And that's basically the message I think I've always seen in Fallout. Because every single faction in Fallout is extreme. Given the end of the world, people are more open to ideas that are extreme. And, you kind of need to have passion to survive in the wastelands. And with religion kind of being shown as not a realistic option or, a very narrow one. There are some Mormons in the Fallout world. There are, the children of Adam who embrace that religiosity, but religion is out of the window. So a lot of people in the world of Fallout embrace politics in their own specific way. And these politics tend to be extreme through the Brotherhood of Steel, thinking that they need to hoard all the technology, that the people cannot be trusted to have technology. Only we can be trusted, And the Enclave, who, use this racism towards these new races of people that have come out through the ghouls and the mutants, and a superiority complex, and the ideals of nationalism that because they were the continuance of the pre-war government, that they had the right to this land. I don't know. Every single faction in Fallout is supposed to be like an extremist option, and the player is supposed to try to find balances to navigate an ending that would be the most preferable to the wasteland. And even in the end, like in Fallout 1, the extremism of your own tribe, the overseer who is so afraid of you changing the minds and the mindset of the people of Vault 13, he's so afraid of that ideology being put into people that he casts out the one man that saved them, or woman. He casts out the one person that saved his entire tribe. So, I don't know. The video was so bizarre to me. I'm going to link it in the description. It's a very left-wing video, but it was interesting to watch, but it just seemed so surface level. And, you know, it's like this typically of a lot of people who have extremist ideologies. They kind of tend to boil down all of the people who disagree with them, all their points down into, like, you know, a standard, easy to digest, don't be for these guys kind of deal. But yeah, I mean, capitalism exists in the wasteland. Because Barty, I mean, to me it was such a bizarre video because it's like they couldn't even imagine a post-capitalist society. But I mean, I don't know exactly what he wanted. I mean, honestly, there's no capitalism is not the same kind of capitalism in Fallout. Fallout's capitalism is not the same kind of capitalism that we experience today. There's no stock markets. There's no, you know, corporations. There's no anything like that. It's just pure bartering. Of course, currency would have been something that they created. What are they going to do? They're going to trade goods, like, to survive? Like, how are you going to transport that? They're going to run into the exact same problems that, you know, humans faced throughout, you know, our own society. They found out, currency is actually an easy way to barter and trade. Like, it's a different kind of capitalism. It's a lot more, you know, it's a lot less secure. It's a lot more faith-based. It's a lot more like, in some ways, honest and brutal, like, you know. But the capitalism of Fallout is nowhere as reflected as the capitalism of today or modern society. It's an elementary idea that capitalism is just trading currency for goods. I mean, there's no central bank monitoring the production of bottle caps. In fact, the only way that some people can stop the counterfeits of bottle caps is going around and destroying things, destroying the machines that make them whenever they find out, to try to keep the supply finite. It's a much more finite system. It's far closer to the days that we traded with gold and silver and feudalism and imperialism as opposed to capitalism. But I don't know. I think that the gentleman who made this video, Kay and Skittles, he is an incredibly talented video maker. He is very, very good at writing a script and presenting his points in a way that is easy to digest. But he has a very bizarre reading of the Fallout series. And I feel like he lets his own politics influence his opinions so much that he fails to see the nuances of his own arguments. You know, he fails to see the nuances of the medium that he's playing, the video game that he's playing, the nuances of his own arguments, and the idea that capitalism existed and has existed forever. Like, you know, he tries to beat back against this idea that capitalism has existed, that it's the natural state of things. But he makes the same argument because, you know, liberal democratic capitalism is a very young ideology. It's a very young system of government. And the monarchical feudalistic days of the past are far closer to his own ideology in ways, just by being much more centralized than the power sharing dynamics of liberal democratic capitalism that he is critiquing. So to me, it's very interesting that he came to this perspective. Obviously, I think it was aimed at people who kind of already agreed with him, as opposed to people trying to, you know, convert people like me. So it was a very well put together video. And obviously, I'm going to disagree with almost all the points, but I congratulate him on making a very fine video. I urge you to watch it. I think it's interesting. Nonetheless, it's interesting to see things from a left-wing perspective. But I encourage Mr. K to try to find out differences about ideologies different than yours. Just in conservatism alone, there is like giant schools of thought, different nuances, between neoconservatives, hawks, post-liberal Catholic integralists, you know, just paleo conservatives. There's just in conservatism alone, just in the right-wing ideology alone, the right side of the American perspective, there is such a depth of nuance and different ideologies out there, and to try to boil, all of center-leaning thought and right-wing thought into this term of neoliberalism, it's not really good for your education in politics. You seem like someone who wants to take politics seriously. You seem like someone who, is very educated on the subject and wants to embark on change or wants to convert people to your side of the argument. You're just not going to have a very good time doing that if all you believe is that everyone who disagrees with you fits into this nice, neat little category. It's just not going to ever work out in your favor. Now, granted, it seems like the video that you created was aimed at just pleasing people who already agree with you. If that's the only audience that you wish to speak with, then go ahead. Continue to make entertaining videos for people who are left-wing. But you will continue to find people who do not agree with you, or you won't be able to convert anyone to your ideology. And I think just by the essence of this video, I do think you truly care about politics and you truly care about trying to get people to your side. My critique would be open your mind up a little bit. Don't focus so heavily on left-wing literature. Go out, talk to people on the right. Dive in to the nuances and the different schools of thought on the right side as well. If you need recommendations of books to read, I can tell you where to find libertarian books, neoconservative books, traditional conservative books, post-Catholic integralist ideology and writings. Let me know. Anyway, that's the video, guys. I urge you to go check out Tay's video and contrast it with my thoughts and let me know what you think. Samuel out.